Hi everybody, my name is Dave Jordan and I want to talk to you guys a little bit today about cyclic vomiting syndrome, and specifically something that I like to refer to as the magic cocktail. So this is a combination of 3 different substances. 2 of them are over the counter. CoQ10, L-Carnatine, and then the third one is a prescription med, Amitriptyline. So this regimen completely turned my life around. It's going on 2 years now, and I've pretty much been episode free, other than just a few isolated episodes of nausea and a bit of vomiting, but over very quick, much more endurable than a full-on episode. As I'm sure many of you know, a full-on episode of cyclic vomiting syndrome is pure hell. And unfortunately, we live in a world where doctors want to blame us, or they want to tell us that it's all in our head, or they want to tell us that because maybe we use cannabis, because it's one of the only thing that helps, that the cannabis is actually causing our cyclic vomiting syndrome. Even in a situation like me, when my CVS first showed up, I had a state job at the time, so I was of course subject to urine screening. So of course I was not touching any drugs, let alone cannabis. So I know in my case that cannabis was not the problem, and I know from talking to so many of you on these various support groups that a lot of times you guys get blamed, or doctors will blame your episodes on cannabis. And I think the actual reality, even though I think that CHS, cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, is a real condition, I'm not debating that. I think that in almost all of the cases of people that I have spoken to that have CVS and doctors blame it on cannabis usage, I think nearly all of them, I do not believe that cannabis is causing their episodes. Many other people like myself were not smoking or touching cannabis in any way when our episodes showed up. Many of us didn't have episodes, or many of us started having episodes when we were 2-3 years old. So of course it's not caused by cannabis in those cases. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. Maybe I'll talk about that a little bit more later on another video. But I wanted to talk to you guys about this magic cocktail. So I'll just tell you my story. About 2 years ago, I was miserable. I woke up every day. Every day was a sick day for me. I felt so bad most days that I couldn't even stick a toothbrush in my mouth after waking up in the morning without gagging. Never ate breakfast. For me, as the day would carry on into the PM and night hours, that was usually when I felt the best. Mornings were not good for me. So anyway, about 2 years ago, my mom showed up on my doorstep with a box full of supplements and pretty well told me, "Dave, you're gonna take these." So I was not that optimistic about the chances of this particular regimen helping me out. I had actually taken the 2 supplements before, CoQ10 and L-Carnitine. I had taken those 2 supplements before at the request of a specialist, and not only was it not helpful to me then, but it was the worst thing I have ever tasted throwing up, ever. And I have thrown up almost everything, as I'm sure most of you have too if you're watching this. So that was my first experience with CoQ10 and L-Carnitine. So fast forward now to 2 years ago, when my mom shows up on the doorstep with those 2 supplements and a few others as well. But the magic cocktail specifically is CoQ10 and L-Carnitine. For me, and Amitriptyline, but we'll get to that. So for me, I take L-Carnitine, and it's usually I'll take 2,000 milligrams, which is 2 capsules. At least in this bottle, that's what that amounts to. And then CoQ10, I usually will take 400 milligrams of that. So after about 6 weeks of just taking these 2 supplements, I was finally able to get into my doctor and get an appointment. And at that time, I requested a script for Amitriptyline because my mom had seen that people were having success with this regimen. So I go to my doctor, I get the prescription. I think I may have tried amitriptyline in the past. I tried so many medications and none of them worked. So what happened to me when I got the prescription filled, I went home. I take the amitriptyline at night before bed because it does have a tendency to make you a little sleepy. So by about the second or third day of being on the amitriptyline plus the supplements, I had about 6 weeks with just the supplements. And from what I'm told, it takes several weeks for the supplements to build up in your system. So I had about 6 weeks of just the supplements before I started on the amitriptyline. But by about the second or third day, I actually started waking up in the morning feeling normal again. I started waking up actually having an appetite for breakfast again, and that had not happened to me a single day in years. And so that was the beginning of my turnaround, and here I am 2 years later. I have 2 kiddos that will be 2 years old, identical twins in July, and I'm so thankful that my health has turned around so that I can be there for my children and for my wife. My job situation is very positive right now. I get paid to teach people how to play the guitar, and I also do a little bit of work in radio. So anyway, enough about me. I want you guys to really, if you've not given any thought, or if this maybe is the first time you've heard of this magic cocktail, really look into it, because I was at the point where I pretty well had resigned to the fact that I was going to die at a young age, and that I was probably going to be pretty miserable for most of my remaining days, which is not a thought that anybody should have to have at age 34. So this regimen completely turned my life around. I cannot say enough. And I had taken everything. Nothing helped me. The traditional nausea meds, Zofran, Phenergen, ondansetron, nothing. No help whatsoever. Benadryl, no help whatsoever. The only thing that I could successfully abort my episodes with were strong narcotic medications. We're talking oxycodone, Demerol, we're talking Xanax, heavy-duty addictive narcotics. So I haven't touched any of those substances since I started this program, and that makes me feel really good. I do use cannabis, usually once a day in the evening, kind of when I'm winding things down. I just find that it relaxes me, and it allows me to sleep, and kind of helps me with my creativity since I'm a musician. So I think finally people are starting to come around on cannabis and its benefits, and how much safer it is than just about any prescription med. And I'll probably do another post specifically about cannabis if I get a good response from this one. So anyway, guys, if you have any questions, please shoot me a message. I'm on the big support groups on Facebook, or if you're watching this via my YouTube channel that I just created, feel free to shoot me a message on there too. But the magic cocktail saved my life, and I bet it might be able to do the same for you if you've not tried it already. Thank you, guys.